Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 222nd edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and speaking of taking feedback into account, I'm joined by PWSA's number one fanboy, Jaden.
Howdy.
I removed the Disney nicknames from my list, Jaden. How do you feel about that?
Fantastic. I thought you were going to antagonize me for a second. I thought you were going to try and get me pissy off the rip, but I appreciate this.
No, I always try and do my best by you, even as disappointing as that is for me. That I wanted to keep it around, but you requested it multiple times. I make it sound like I did a good job by removing it because you asked, but like it took me like you asked me like 4 times to get rid of it, and then I finally just like, oh fuck.
Yeah. It's taken many discussions over many months about why we should or shouldn't.
It basically just it takes it bringing up multiple times because I need to judge how serious you are about it. Really, Like if you ask me once, I'm like, I don't know, was that just a whim? Whatever, I don't really care. Okay. And then by the 4th time, I'm like, yeah, I should probably listen. Which is, of course, a great mindset to have as a leader of peoples. And I'm not saying I'm a leader of you, by the way. I'm just Anyway, Liam's here also. Leader of the war on magpies. Speaking of leaders, it's Fitzy, aka Liam.
Hey, what's up?
It's an oldie but a goodie. Do you have any problems with that one? Do I need? Please don't tell me I need to get rid of that one because I like that one.
No, that's right. It's funny. It's good. Yeah.
Good. Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. And this week, that movie is known as Inside Out 2, which opened in the US on June 14th, 2024. It was directed by Kelsey Mann, who works in Pixar. She has never directed a film, but Jaden, she was a 3D animation artist on the Clone Wars. So shout out to her.
Every time I've clicked on Kelsey Mann's profile on Letterboxd, it's been a dude.
Wait, it's a dude? Oh. it's yeah, I don't know why. I just thought, is Kelsey a guy's name?
Kelsey Grammer, is that a dude as well? Or is that a chick?
I don't know. Oh my God. I didn't even one second guess it.
Yeah, Kelsey Grammer's a dude.
But so Kelsey is a dude's name?
I guess it can be.
My Lord. But do you know any female Kelseys?
I don't know. I feel like there's a shit high school movie I watched in the 2000s with a cheerleader named Kelsey.
Okay, all right. Yeah, nice. Wow, I feel really bad. It wasn't even like
Bro,
I didn't even get it wrong.
Name.
Well, that too. Yeah. Oh, anyway. Apologies, Kelsey. I just totally assumed that. It's an animated coming-of-age film, and the synopsis says, a sequel that features Riley entering puberty and experiencing brand new, more complex emotions as a result. As Riley tries to adapt to her teenage years, her old emotions try to adapt to the possibility of being replaced. Wow. High stakes there. Fitzy, what did you think of Inside Out 2? And did you, restart it? Or did you just, pick up where you left off?
No, I just picked up where I left off. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was alright, I guess. I think, they were clever, I guess, in how they played with new psychological concepts, the sense of self, and, it was fun at times, with stream of consciousness, ideas like that kind of kept the film interesting, I guess, but I don't know. Or the overall story I didn't care that much for, I guess. And it felt significantly less I guess I don't want to use the word emotional because that's it's too on the nose, but it didn't feel as visceral, I guess, as the first one did. Maybe in the end when they kind of brought back that main theme, but it I don't know. Yeah, it was a bit. It was fun, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. I'm definitely more positive. This was a good time for me for sure. I can easily say all of the things I've always said about the first Inside Out apply strongly to this one. It's a really sweet, clever, creative, relatable movie. I do like this more than the first one though. I still don't know if it ascends super high on my overall Pixar ranking. I don't think this franchise is Pixar's best in my opinion, but I don't know. this is an easy recommend for me. You can't go wrong. And, you know, most movie goers on Earth have already watched it anyway, so they don't really need my recommendation. But, yeah, I don't know how people, see what Jane thinks in a second. I don't know how people feel about comparing this to the first one, but I definitely liked it more than the first one, which I still liked. But I guess maybe I'm just not as high on it in general as other people, so this one was nice. Jaden, what about you?
I've never been the biggest Inside Out fan because I don't know if you remember, but like back in 2020, I watched it after I watched Soul. And I loved Soul. I thought Soul was fantastic, brilliant, absolutely awesome. So like going from Soul to Inside Out, I was expecting something as kind of mature and provoking and interesting as what Soul was, given that it's the same director as well as the same studio we learned. You know, it's like should be a strong link. But then like Inside Out was like shocking to me because it was like so much dumbed down and like more kiddish, and like it was fine, but it was just not what I was looking for after that. And I still feel the same way with this one, where it's like the rhetoric is cute, and there is some like funny, or not funny, like, you know, there's some like nice wordplay with like the sarcasm and like all that shit, like Liam was saying.
Yeah,
but I disagree with you about it being a good time. I was actually bored for like the vast majority of it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know. I think it was a pretty disappointing Disney movie, as a Pixar movie, given everything. I think the oversimplification of it gets like it is just a kids movie, I think, is a thing. And like I was just expecting, because like, not to say that Soul isn't, but like after Soul, I was just like, I still feel like I'm clinging onto that too much, you know. Whereas this feels like too much of a simplification of like something like that, where I'm kind of bored of it. But like I get it works with kids, and there is some cutesy things that come out of it with the eyes and the shit like that. But I don't know. I think I was pretty bored by like at least the first hour and a bit. It wasn't until like the third act climax I started like getting engaged.
Okay, gotcha. I feel like this one though. I mean, so is Soul like is like your number one Pixar movie, or
Second.
what's number one?
Up. Also by Pete.
Oh yeah. Well, Pete runs the show there, you know. So, but yeah, okay, gotcha. No, Soul's an awesome movie. I get what you're saying. I feel like all Pixar movies should be able to, you know, they're all kids movies, ostensibly, but they should be able to, you know. I think it's totally fair criticism if you feel like thematically or, you know, what it's executing, it feels like it's not catering as highly to the older demographic as it should, because I feel like all Pixar movies, well, most do that pretty well, you know. I feel like my take though is that this one did that better than the first movie. How do you feel about that? Like, I feel this one to me is less for kids than the first one was, and maybe I'm taking it too literally just because it's literally like Riley's older and stuff. But I feel like the new emotions that they bring into it makes it more relatable to adults, in my opinion.
Maybe, but like, I don't know. I just feel like I think it's too simple of a narrative of anxiety coming in and taking over the mind. Whereas like I get for kids, maybe once again, it's just that demographic thing. I think that's going to control most of my negativeness towards it, where it's just not for me and for someone younger. Whereas it's just an oversimplification of things, I think. And like I get that's what the movie is, you know, it's simplifying how the brain works down into a cutesy rhetoric for kids. But yeah, I just think it doesn't really work for me, and it didn't work for me from the start. So, you know, I just think I'm going to continue with that way.
Yeah, okay. No, I get you. How did you feel about that, Fitzy, and the implementation of the themes and stuff? It is kind of the same thing as the first movie, in a way, in terms of accepting the role of... So the first movie is sort of about accepting the role of the emotions outside of joy, right? It's like, sadness has a role, you know, and these things are important and we should embrace them. And it's kind of the same thing at the end of this one, except with all the new emotions and mainly anxiety as well. But I don't know, I feel like that's still a valuable lesson for anyone of any age, personally.
Yeah, no, I was thinking that it felt like a little too similar to the first one, but I guess that's kind of the identity of the series at this point. I mean, the third one might do something similar, so yeah. But like I felt like they added enough, I guess, with like the sense of self and stuff, and yeah, I don't know. It felt different enough to where that wasn't like a main criticism I had, like at the top of my mind, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, it's not a criticism. That's a good point about it sort of being an identity of the series. It makes sense if your main characters are literally emotions. It would make sense that thematically you'd want the idea to be that they're all valid and they're all, have a place, and obviously how that relates to real people. And I think that's valid as well. I don't know, but I feel like compared to the first one of like the role of accepting sadness, for example, as something that's valid and important or whatever, it's like, okay, like that message directly feels like it's more for kids. It's like I feel like most adults can like understand that sadness is good or what sadness, you know what I mean. Sadness is great, but I don't know. I feel like it's still the idea of accepting anxiety and envy and embarrassment and these other ones. Of course, mainly anxiety and envy are probably the biggest ones. I feel like that's pretty relatable in a more mature context. I feel like anyone of any, like I feel like there's plenty of 50-year-old people I know that can take that on board more so than the message of the first one, even though it is kind of the same message.
The adults in this movie, they don't have anxiety in their head. They only have the core 5. So anxiety must go away after puberty's done. That's surely what the movie's telling me.
Yeah, how'd you feel about that?
What?
How'd you feel about that? Was that weird to you at all? Like,
I just think it was just.
Did it stand out to you as you were watching it?
I mean, it stood out, but I don't think it was like anything like major. I think it was just a bit of an oversight on their half, and like probably like can't be bothered animating, or there's no point in overcomplicating this part of the
right.
So it's just we'll skip out on it
of the scene. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I get that. Does it imply that adults don't get embarrassed? Don't get envious? Yeah. I don't know. I think you could. I don't know. Maybe you can argue that like they have less of a role as Riley masters them or whatever. I don't know. But anxiety does turn up there though in bloody mum and dad's brain for a minute.
Does it?
Yeah. Anxiety. Like they weren't there at the start, and then anxiety like pops for both of them. Pops their head in.
When was that? I genuinely do not remember that.
It must be in the part where you were bored. You know what I'm talking about, Fitzy, right?
No, I don't even remember like the parents' heads. I don't remember that part.
Oh, dude, that shit's so good. I love when they do that. They always play that so well.
Was that like at the start or something?
Yeah, it was in like the first 10 minutes. I did not see anxiety at all. Like at all.
That was the part I wasn't really paying attention to, so I was just kind of checking.
Yeah. And just in one line, like anxiety for both of them. Like it's the core 5, and they do a couple bits, and then like anxiety. They're both their versions of anxiety do pop up.
Really?
Jump out. Yeah.
Okay, I did not see that at all. That's
okay.
on me.
Yeah. So yeah, and they're still there. I kind of took it as like they kind of take a back seat as you get older, maybe. Which I mean, maybe you could. I don't. The movie's not really about that anyway. I'm not like trying to make it all link unnecessarily, but there is. I think it's not inconsistent. I'll put it that way. But yeah, I did just sort of want to ask in general, I guess, because I always think about like whenever you hear these Pixar, I kind of make fun of it now. I made fun of it last week. But like you always hear these Pixar creators, as much as I love Pixar, when they come in, they're like, so why are you making a sequel now or whatever? And they always come in with that thing of like, well, we've been throwing around ideas for years, and they always present it like they have this like story epiphany that like cracks the idea of like now we can justify a sequel. And I'm sure it's true a lot of the time. Don't me? I'm not. It is kind of funny though. That's like always the thing they go back to. So in terms of like what that story crack was this time, what that epiphany was that they had, how did we feel about the way they handle that in that story direction in terms of the new elements they introduced, the new emotions as a follow-up to the first Inside Out? Did it justify the sequel? And was it enjoyable? All that stuff that they, the actual story direction for this one,
I think the sense of self through line is justifiable. I think the new characters aren't really. I think they're important as a driver for the story, because I think if you had the same 5 core, it'd be a bit dull. But like in terms of like actually making sense out of the brain, like they chose those first 5 initially because those are like the kind of 5 they can really boil it down to, and then everything else is just an extension of it.
Yes.
So like I don't love the new characters as a concept, but I recognize that they're necessary as a drive for the plot. So I don't, so that part's a bit whatever, but the sense of self kind of is. If that's the epiphany you're talking about, then I'm fine with that. I think
that's certainly part of it.
yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, but I also kind of turned that part of my brain off because I think it was when the first trailer came out. I kind of make fun of it. What was it like? Anxiety turned up in the trailer, and I was like, "Isn't anxiety just kind of like an extension of fear?" And like, couldn't you kind of just say that for like, yeah, like exactly what you said about the core five and how everything kind of bounces off of it. I can't as I got into this though, I kind of had to turn that part of my brain off. That's like questioning, like, oh yeah, but would this emotion really be here because there's already this one, or like, would this emotion say that? Wouldn't that one say that? You know what I mean? Like, my brain was doing that a little bit. But like, you just got to turn that part. You know, it's a fucking kids movie telling us a cute story with a cute message. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to go deep into the psychology of it. So even though I kind of was by default, so if I was able to stop doing that, I was able to go along for the ride and enjoy the new emotions for what they were, for sure. I did end up actually liking the new characters quite a bit, more so than I thought, after seeing the trailer. And I really like the whole idea of the sense of self and how at that age, you know, there's the belief system beneath that then forms the sense of self above. It kind of creates the roots of the tree or whatever. I think that's a really cool idea. And I think that, you know, playing with that, especially as Riley's getting older and stuff, as we get older, is really cool, is really good. And that's sort of the aspect. That probably more so than the emotions, actually, is like the aspect that's like most adults can probably identify with in particular, where it's like, you know, we all have it depends how self-reflective you are, I guess, but we all have a sense of self. That's basically how it's presented in the movie is pretty accurate, in my opinion, you know, based off of these different values and memories that we have that were built over time. I think the way the movie portrays that's pretty accurate and pretty interesting. So I was a fan of the concept in that sense. Yeah, I mean, but how'd you feel about these 50? But I was just going to start talking about the emotions, like the new characters. Feel free to do that if you like, or if you have any other thoughts on the new stuff they introduced.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. What was your original question? Was like, did they justify it with the the new ideas, right?
Yeah,
that's what you're asking. Yeah, I think so. I think they had enough, and like, I mean, the whole idea was to tackle puberty, right? And I think they did that in like a an interesting and kind of graceful way, I guess. So yeah, I think like
I agree.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I thought so too, and I thought, and a fun way as well, you know, which these movies always do well. Like the whole the control panel becoming overly sensitive right at the start was pretty funny.
Yeah,
and they played with that. They played with that well, for sure. I agree. So in terms of, I mean, these new emotions coming in, it actually made me think. Actually, this is a good point. So the puberty alarm goes off and they turn up, which is, you know, funny. But I then start. This is now the part of my brain I was trying to switch off watching the movie, but now we're in a podcast. I'll just go back to it in terms of the psychology of it. Is it true? Like, to what extent do we experience these new emotions prior to puberty? You know what I mean? Or prior to around that age, let's say. Like, so I'm trying to think, wait, so did I never experience embarrassment before 13-ish? Did I never experience envy? You know what I mean? And I kind
You're definitely bored as a child. Like
boredom, that's actually a good one. That's a good point. But honestly, as I was thinking about it, I was kind of like, this actually might be more accurate than I'm giving it credit for. Boredom, I can't really argue against. But in terms of envy, anxiety, embarrassment,
as a child, you definitely want everything. And I think that's why envy is depicted as small and everything else and childish. As a child,
really?
You want toys that you see other kids playing with. And you want the attention that other kids get or that other people are getting, you know. Envy is definitely a childish emotion.
Yeah, no, when you put it like that, that's true. I personally, I don't think I was ever really that way personally. But
you came into the world fully formed with a huge brain. That's
I was waiting for you to say that. No, I don't know. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. But what about anxiety?
But that's probably the only one really. I think you're too young to really have a concept of anxiety before that point of your life, probably. But then again, at the same time, I don't really agree with it being a puberty thing because puberty happens at different stages for different people. I just think it's an age thing.
Yeah, that's true. I'm deep in thought now again because I saw a child psychologist for anxiety when I was in what was I, 9? So there you go.
Oh, actually, there you go. You're proving yourself.
so that's not accurate. And I can relate to that. I can't relate to envy. I don't think I can relate to embarrassment at that age either, though.
I feel like I could.
You could?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely it's like, I guess in the typical teenage way, embarrassment would be like, oh, don't or being caring what your friends think, right? Oh, don't do that in front of me, mum, or whatever. Like fucking. I said it's so weird. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you don't want your mum to drop you off or whatever, that kind of shit. You know what I mean? I feel like that sort of is very traditionally depicted as coming later in teenage years. But yeah, I guess embarrassment can have other forms prior.
Yeah. But this goes back to the thing I was saying at the start, and then, you were saying you kind of have to just ignore and just accept it as like part of the, the movie simplification for kids. Yeah.
Oh, no, definitely. Yeah, I totally acknowledge that. I was just kind of curious about it. I think it's interesting.
Okay. I feel like there is some truth to not just anxiety, but like kids definitely experience envy, but it's much more like temporal. Like it's much more like passing as a kid, and like this film kind of harping on like the sense of self and like permanent, feelings and beliefs. It's like I definitely feel like when you're closer to becoming an adult, things like envy can become like key parts of your personality, or like your identity, which they aren't really as a kid. So I feel like envy, anxiety, and probably embarrassment are like pretty justified. And I think even ennui as well, like boredom is like, I don't know, it's pretty like a pretty prototypical like teenage thing, right? So I feel like every emotion was more or less justified as becoming key parts of like, a teenager, I guess, even if these emotions kind of existed in parts before.
Yeah.
But on the design, I really liked
stuff, that, yeah.
On the design and stuff, I did think they were pretty great. Like, I think Ennui was pretty funny, being like a skinny French person. And like envy, as Jaden said, as like a small kid, that was pretty fun. So yeah, I do like the new character designs and felt they were
I really liked.
Yeah,
I really liked embarrassment and the hoodie. I thought that was fun. That was really cool. That was probably my favorite new one. And then I liked anxiety. Do we agree that? I don't know if we have any thoughts on Spooky saying that anxiety's butt ass ugly, but I thought it was appropriate. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, it looks anxious. Yeah,
right. Exactly. And going back to what we were saying earlier about difference between anxiety and fear, I thought the film felt like it was conscious of that when it included that line about like justifying what the difference between anxiety and fear was in Riley's brain, of anxiety being like, accounting for things that she can't see, and fear being things that she can see. And I thought that's a sound justification right there of defining those two things. And the way that they then throughout the film, obviously anxiety being the antagonist, solid villain to root against for sure. I can get behind that, just conceptually. But then also like the portrayal of it in terms of anxiety, like creating these different scenarios, through the unpaid employees and their created images of like going through all these different scenarios and like, what if this happens? What if that happens? It's a fun, like, and also like, it's a fun thing, a relatable thing, and also just a clever like animation thing to like present it that way in terms of like having it come up on the screen and like, oh, that's cute, or that's clever. But it's fun, but it's almost alarming like how kind of accurate that is, of like if you are just lying in bed at night thinking about these things, or like you kind of do almost have that thing where it's like, man, are those little blue dudes doing that in my brain? When like I visualize what the future could hold, so that's, I think, where the film shines, where the creativity and the relatability sort of really comes together and it really works. I will say I thought Io's performance as Envy was really special, really outstanding.
I can't tell when you're taking the piss or not with it.
No. I think. Don't you think she'll get recognised at awards?
What? Really? What? I thought she was good, and I liked her. I thought she was really cutesy, but I can't tell if you're taking a piss with this.
She was by far the best in the movie.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't put it that high, but yeah, I really liked it. I really liked Envy. I thought it was really cute.
Was I able to convince you that I was being for real? I think I did.
Oh, wait, you're what?
Yes, yes.
Oh, got him. Yeah.
Sorry, Jane. I'm sorry. I am quite proud because I'm usually really bad at that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I did doubt at the start, but then you convinced me. Yeah, no, good job.
I commit. I think I just doubled down. That's all. I don't think I was that convincing. I just doubled down. Yeah, I was there. Shout out to her. Bloody, I didn't realize Maya Hawke was anxiety at all. Did you know that going in? Okay. Yeah, she was good. I didn't like her. Yeah. I mean, I've got the trivia about the goddamn pay disputes for the other actors.
You guys know about this? I don't know about that, but I noticed that a lot of the voice cast, not a lot, but like Mindy Kaling didn't come back and Bill Hader didn't come back.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Oh, so that okay, yeah.
So Amy, how do you say her name?
Poehler.
Poehler?
Yeah.
Okay. Was paid $5 million alongside lucrative bonuses to reprise her role as Joy. The rest of the film's cast were each reportedly offered $100,000 to return. By the way, what's up with that discrepancy? But anyway, then Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling, who respectively played Fear and Disgust in the first film, declined to return and were replaced by Tony Hale and Lisa Lapira, respectively. I mean, I can't really blame them. Like, what's up with that?
I mean, yeah, not giving Bill Hader that much is interesting at this point, but I think like Poehler definitely is a bigger pull than Phyllis.
Well, she's the main character.
Yeah.
So I get you want to keep her for sure.
I didn't know it was a pay issue. I just thought that Bill and Mindy had outgrown the kind of role.
Bill's voice dropped in the meantime. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like, I couldn't tell at all. Like, maybe if you watched them back to back,
I couldn't tell with Fear though.
You could tell with Disgust. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you watch you fucking 9 seasons of The Office. You can tell what Mindy Kaling sounds like. You know.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fair enough. I personally couldn't tell, so I feel like, hey, I'm not necessarily encouraged. I don't want to say anything to encourage them to do this again, where they just like kick their cast out because they have to pay them more. But so actually, I'm going to refrain from commenting any further. I feel like I've already given them what they want by saying I couldn't really tell. I had some trivia here about how you guys feel about this. An early draft of the screenplay introduced the following new emotions in place of what they ended up going with: freedom, white; love, magenta; passion, cyan; and strength, black. I feel like that's wank. I don't know.
Terrible.
No. Is strength an emotion?
Yeah.
It's like a quality.
Freedom?
Freedom's wank.
State of mind. Yeah, maybe freedom. I don't know.
Freedom. Yeah, I feel like freedom's more like a physical fact. I don't know. I mean, I get a state of mind, sure, to an extent. Yeah, that's interesting.
I really liked with the new characters. I liked Lance Thundercock or whatever his name was, the video game character. He was funny as fuck.
Oh yeah, he was in the last one too. Yeah.
Was he? Oh, dude, he was great.
Briefly, yeah, he was into this more for sure. Yeah, you liked him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's his Samus Ball power in Super Smash Brothers.
Mm. And then when Anger like deep throated fucking Pouchy, that was pretty funny.
Dude, that was so good, dude. Oh my god. There were definitely a couple of moments that really got me. So you said you were kind of bored throughout. Was it these? But you liked the ending a little bit. You said, but then
when Anger shoved his fist down Pouchy's throat is when I kind of switched on a bit.
But I'll do want to identify what were some of the pisser moments throughout that sort of, got you. The most I laughed in the movie was when Bluefy turned up for the first time and came in and like started and did the thing, "Can you see a key?" and started talking to the audience. Like, dude, I was legit dying because I thought that was so funny.
Because your familiarity with Bluey.
Well, mainly my familiarity with Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, to be honest with you. Mainly. And like, dude, like literally, I swear to God, I scrolled through the trivia, like 4 different trivias in this were about, do you know that Bloofy and Pouchy are a reference to Dora the Explorer and Mickey Mouse Clubhouse? I'm like, really? I didn't pick that. Oh. Jesus, guys. Dude, I laugh so hard at Bloofy and Pouchy. Wait, when he calls Pouchy... Wait, have you guys seen Mickey Mouse Clubhouse?
Yeah. Back when I was young. I haven't thought about that show in a long time, though.
Oh, no, I watched it the other week.
Yeah.
I didn't. But I watched Bluey, though. But when he's like, oh, Pouchy... I'm like, oh, that's fucking great. That's genius, you know? I feel that was one where I feel like within the kids movie, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse obviously for kids as well, but within the kids movie they were like that leaned into satire a lot, where like literally like the literal like borderline sexual assault of Pouchy in this movie, you know what I mean? So I was a big fan of that. And then when Pouchy had you choose your tools, like the mystery mouse tool or whatever it was. Oh man, sorry. I thought I'm talking about this way too much because I thought it was so funny. I laughed so hard. I'm not gonna lie. That was probably my biggest moment in the movie. Yours was anger deep throating. Anything else?
Yeah, just that stuff with the video game character. I think, just a bit earlier on
in the vault.
Oh, the sarcasm bit actually was nice.
Oh, that was a good bit.
Yeah,
for sure. It's like you said at the start, like the way they implement these concepts are always really clever. Like, and the stream of consciousness, of course, is the other one you mentioned. But that's a banger. That's a good idea.
That one actually.
Sorry, Fitzy.
Come on, dude.
Fitzy, to apologise. Do you have any other laughable LMAO moments in this movie? Legit LMAO moments.
No, like I definitely had the same thoughts about Pouchy and stuff. But I don't think anything really made me laugh per se. I agree that the sarcasm bit was pretty funny as well, but no audible LOLs, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair. Well, then that basically guarantees you're going to give it a lower score than me, if that wasn't already obvious. But there it is. Yeah, that's cool. I feel like I had something else that I liked. Oh, I discussed analysing the friends.
I did find one part funny with the look, like the jealousy bit, where like she says she notices the look on the friend's face.
Oh yeah, that's literally what I said. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that was funny.
That was very funny. Absolutely. But then part of me was like, should Disgust be doing that?
Oh, because Fear noticed it, right? Oh, I thought it was Disgust. Yeah. That Disgust makes more sense, I think.
Well, Fear is fear that like something's wrong, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got back into that psychological mindset. I should stay away. Sorry, my bad.
Do you have any thoughts about? I can't remember what the main thing in the dad's head is, but like the main thought in the mum's head being sadness, and like I don't know about like Riley's main thought is joy.
Like people have different. Like the main character is different for everyone.
Yeah, because like in the mum's head, like sadness is at the center of the console. I think in that I don't want to say it was anger, but like I feel like it.
Yeah. I think it was anger.
But that doesn't. He never seems like an angry guy, you know. I don't know.
He's just always holding. He's like
hulking it. Yeah.
He's always right there on the brink. Yeah, that is interesting. I like that. That's a cool detail. I mean, that's sad, right? I mean, obviously.
Yeah, and like what? Like I feel like that's like way more sad than they intended. Maybe like to make the mum's like permanently sad enough that like sadness controls her mind. I'm like, that's fucked.
And like the creative decision behind making that the case for the mum, is that like a larger comment on mums in general?
I don't know. Yeah,
like is sadness a common leading protagonist for mums out there?
They all regret becoming mums.
But like sadness is more analytical and like both these movies, so maybe it just means she's more like methodical, you know, she's more like adult, you know, because like the sadness like read all the manuals, you know, about all the different you know, subsections of different emotions and like situations and stuff, so like I don't know.
What do you think your controlling emotion is?
Mine is probably good question.
Envy. No, I don't know.
Probably. Oh shit. Oh, this is a deep question. This should have been the question of the week if we hadn't thought of it.
What's yours, Jaden?
Yeah, Jaden, go. Well,
mine hasn't been revealed yet. It's coming in Inside Out 3.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Honestly, mine might be nostalgia at this point.
Is nostalgia an emotion? That's another thing, you know?
No, but it was such a good bit that like I didn't care. I was like, that's so good. And when they made the case that like nostalgia, you're like 30 years too early. Like that.
Like, no.
Joy said something like nostalgia should come out like after you've had kids or like wait decades in the future. Or there was a line like that. And I was like, dude, no, Joy, nostalgia comes at like, what do you reckon, like 20? 19?
Yeah, I don't know. Even like younger than that.
Yeah,
like,
younger than that? 17? Yeah. Nostalgia. I agree that nostalgia probably shouldn't be quite there yet for where Riley was, but she's not far off, I'll tell you that. Yeah. Nostalgia's probably guiding me. Outside of that, maybe anxiety or embarrassment, probably. I feel like embarrassment, like as portrayed in the film, couldn't really be couldn't lead anything. Couldn't lead the group. You know. I feel like he's like just always has to. He just comes in and presses the button every now and again.
Yeah. No, what's actually happened to me is that all my emotions have been dumped in that big chasm. And Ryan Gosling in Drive has been inserted into my brain. So I am literally him.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
But like a Pixar animated version of him.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like
in the white jacket still. Yeah.
Yeah, I like picturing that. That's nice. That's cool. Actually, you know what? Another probably debatable one for being my lead is probably cringe. Like we need cringe to come in the third one. You know. And you could say it's cringe and emotion. Well, not any more than freedom. So they can do whatever they want. When every time that Riley, like, when the new emotions took control and started controlling Riley to like how that she was talking with the what's her face, the new hockey team people,
Valentina,
whatever.
Yeah.
My cringe emotion took control in those scenes for sure. Obviously by design. So compliments to the chef there. But I was cringing in those scenes for sure.
Do you like the human side of the story?
In looking at, if I try and, I like how the emotions affect it. But are you talking about in terms of you try and separate like the actual like in terms of navigating friends story?
Maybe. I don't know. So I'm asking you because I don't know.
Oh shit! Yeah, my bad. Nothing I haven't seen before.
Right.
Taking it by itself, but you kind of can't.
But then even in conjunction, like in terms of what she's experiencing in her head and that reflected in the outside, how do you like it then?
I personally kind of find like dynamics of like trying to impress people. I mean, it's literally what I just said about why I was cringing in those scenes. Like, I find like story beats about like trying to impress people and make friends and stuff just cringeworthy in general. Which most of the time they're designed to be. I get that, but like not the biggest fan, I guess, in that sense. But I do like how I do like the climax of it. Like I do like how it ended up leading to having a panic attack, and how she came out of that. Like I thought that was the portrayal of the panic attack and everything. I thought was well done, and I think it's cool for kids to see that. So I like how it ended, I guess. When you were talking about liking the third act and being engaged by it, is that what you were talking about in terms of when the emotions come together and sort of resolve that at the end and anxiety flips out and shit?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Because I thought all that was good.
Yeah, I don't know if I love the whole hockey kind of part of her life and like speedrunning puberty in 3 days instead of like taking your time with it.
Yeah, she did speedrun.
Because I was trying to think back to the first one. I was like, because she has this whole thing of like running away, doesn't she? Where she thinks like she's like not wanted or something like that, you know? Is there something like that?
Yeah, the story in the first one, like the real life story, felt a lot more like meaningful and like eventful, I guess.
Yeah.
Clearly not as memorable to me, but I mean.
Yeah, so I just feel like just the 3 days of hockey was kind of.
Yeah, when you put it that way, that is a bit weird. But I can almost see it like it's like that initial transition of setting up for the rest of puberty of dealing with the emotions are still there. But sort of like, She still sped run that part though, even if you want to say that. Like
I can't really pinpoint when puberty started for me, but like I can't really I don't really think I was a ball of anxiety straight away.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's true. Some people can probably relate to that. I personally can't, but yeah, that's true. I will say, like, this did start getting me thinking about like sports and like how good you are at sports and shit. So, like, when anxiety was wasn't anxiety controlling Riley at hockey? You know what I mean? Like, was she just a good gamer, and that's why Riley was good at hockey?
But then, like, anxiety herself became overwhelmed. You know,
oh yeah,
by the sense of self.
Yeah, but when I feel like she was peaking hockey wise, just skill wise, you know. So it just made me think, like, I don't know whoever my driving emotion is in my mind, not that good of a gamer, because I need to be better at sports, guys. Come on, control me better, please. You know what I mean?
I think different emotions would control me in different sports.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. That's good.
But a certain red guy comes out whenever I'm sitting here, you know, with my hand on WASD, you know.
Overwatch 2, for sure.
Yeah.
This is the most watched movie of all time in Brazilian theaters.
That's fucked.
I don't know what the Brazilians really related to on this one, but good for them. I don't know. Is that like a systemic? I don't know if we have any Brazilian listeners, but is this like a systemic mental health crisis in Brazil where like everyone like lost their minds at this movie?
It might just be an accessibility to cinemas thing as well, just over time.
True. Yeah. No, that's a way better point than my stupid point. Well, I was sort of thinking like we might be on track, you know, for this to be a pretty breezy episode. That's until I realised I had to read Andy's review.
Sure.
Because Andy wrote in his review for Inside Out 2 and said, apparently I just discovered Zach and I have watched this film on Ao's birthday, so no doubt this fun fact will please a mega fan like Dr. Luke. Anyway, I came into Inside Out 2 not knowing anything about the plot for the sequel. By the way, you guys got to pay deeper attention. This is like Andy's essay here. You got to like pay attention. I need like a rebuttal, you know, from everyone involved here. I especially didn't know much about anxiety, but damn, even my anxiety wouldn't allow me to become horrible, a try-hard, disloyal, inconsistent as a person. I'm sure there'd be a lot of debates about that from you guys, but I just thought I had a different interpretation of what anxiety felt like. Sure, I would have been depressed as fuck if my friends went to another high school, but my anxiety would never go out of my way to ditch my original friends for cooler people or sneak in to look at the notebook to see whether I will make the team. My anxiety usually originates from plenty of overthinking and ways to avoid embarrassing myself, but I would never do anything that would make me selfish or expose my shittiness. Expose the shittiness. Okay. Anxiety should be a tool used to find ways to improve things around me, not make things worse for others, and find ways to be honest and own up about burning a hole in a rug. That's a reference to the end credit scene. I don't know if you guys saw that. Just so you know. See, Fitzy didn't see it this week. I didn't see it last week. It's fine.
Her big dark secret was actually burnt a hole in a rug. Not that she's gay.
Yes. That's
really?
what the big...
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, dude, that's the first thing I said when the big dark secret showed up. I'm like, oh, homosexuality, there it is. The eventual attack was probably the most accurate thing about anxiety, but even up to the climactic point, the moment itself felt too obvious. Hence, I wasn't sure if I was totally behind with how anxiety was portrayed by the creators of Inside Out 2, but I understand that it was pivotal in being the antagonist of the film, and Maya Hawke does an excellent job giving that energy voicing the character. Anxiety's visual design looks goofy, yet innocently charming, and had a face of someone who probably did too much harm but meant well. The overall viewing was rather enjoyable. The narrative about Riley playing hockey genuinely gave me nostalgia, a character I'm sure we'll see in future sequels. I hope so. Nostalgia of FIFA, The Journey from 7 years ago with Alex Hunter, except the perspective would come from Gareth Walker, Alex's childhood friend but a disloyal little shit who moved to a rival team. I remembered what a twat he was to Alex and wanted to dick him through the screen with my family friend's Xbox controller so bad when I played that game. Riley felt very much like Gareth Walker, or at least her mind was overtaken to control her to become that way, and just the way it all played out felt pleasantly engaging. The biggest surprise upon encountering Pixar's returning modern masterpiece, was that Adele Exarchopoulos even appeared in this film as she voiced Enwi. I think I even said that part wrong. I'm a massive fan. And what?
Ennui.
Ennui, thank you. I'm a massive fan of her because she's a French actress so prolific in anything I've seen that I would never have expected her to appear in any type of Hollywood film, let alone a Pixar animation. I was super excited to see Adele Exarchopoulos needed to make Zach read her name twice. Thank you, Andy. And no doubt she was definitely my favourite addition for this sequel. I hope Inside Out 3 will be in the works when Riley becomes 18. Someone mentioned that they would love to see Lust as a new character, since it would be interesting to see how they would animate those sequences. For now, I give Inside Out 2 a 7 out of 10. Thank you, Andy. Thank you. I mean, I appreciate your thoughts on anxiety. I kind of don't disagree. I mean, it's the same thing I said about envy. I think we can all relate to the emotions in different ways of what things we can see ourselves doing or not doing and stuff. I think that's genuinely an interesting part of these movies, makes you a bit self-reflective. I kind of like that. So I get what you mean, Andy. I disagree with you, not being selfish, but, that's okay. You just made me read that review, for example. Thank you, Andy. Luke said, heartwarming film, soundtrack gets you with just a few piano keys. The new emotions were overshadowed by anxiety, but I guess that's the point. Man, anxiety looks but ugly. 6 out of 10. But then on Letterboxd, he put 7 out of 10. Spooky. Write a comment.
Maybe a different emotion came into his mind to control it when he put it on Letterboxd.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe it was boredom. All right. Thank you for your reviews, team. Inside Out 2 final verdicts, Fitzy.
I'll give it a 5. It's probably a bit more quality than that, but I was pretty disappointed, I guess. So I'll slap a 5 on it.
Do you wish we watched 3 hours of Horizon Chapter 1 instead?
I can't say. Probably not, actually. Yeah. Maybe in 2 weeks' time. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Fair enough. This is an easy 7 for me. Jaden?
I've been between a 4 and a 5.
A 4?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Dude, I was bored as shit, and I think it is just not for me.
Okay.
And it's like the first one's not for me, and this one's definitely not the first one, so
Okay.
I don't know. 4.5.
No.
Copy it out. No. 4.
Surely, hang on, just go back to you picturing Angara just fisting Pouchy.
No, yeah, true. Okay. Yeah, 5. Yeah.
Nice. Got him. Nice. Okay. Let's get into news chat. What should we do first? I don't know. I think, by the way, we missed the Thunderbolts trailer last week, but I think that speaks to how much we could not give a shit. But it didn't come up at all.
Yeah, true.
But it existed. It was out there at the time. Let's start off with these superfan focus groups. Jaden brought this to my attention. We can have a little chat about it if you like. There's this Variety article called Toxic Fandom, How Hollywood is Battling Fans Who Are Just Out of Full Blood. And it's got all these interesting sources and everything. Basically, the gist is, I recommend people read it, by the way, but this anonymous studio executive basically just, was in there and just said that they use superfan focus groups now when they develop projects. So instead of traditional test screenings, which always happen for every movie, they get test audiences in to come in and give their feedback, and then they tweak the movie based on that. That's very common. Happened for many decades. But part of that now is that that's extended to, as a result of social media backlash towards shows and movies, these studios are now employing super fan focus groups where they specifically get in groups of quote-unquote super fans of the particular product, franchise, whatever it is, to give their thoughts and feedback on, what it is and if it's going to piss people off, essentially. Jen, you brought this to my attention. I want you to sound off however you reacted to it when you first saw it.
I think it's dumb. I think it's really dumb. It's gonna do like studio shouldn't be listening to normal people at all, and like this is a studio decision, not on production staff. So it's just gonna kill creativity and like any kind of artistic choice made by people in the production that the audience is just a bit averse to. I think people boil it down to like a group of like a vocal minority on the internet that has caused this shift. But honestly, I don't like. It might be a vocal minority on the internet, but that's only in the online space of people commenting.
Exactly.
I think it's reflected in box office numbers and performance as well, and kind of general consensus on the series that there is a bit more overthinking of the same way as these negative people in real life that you just don't see as much. So like, I don't think it's not baseless. I think people saying that they're doing this because of criticism from 10 or so channels, especially in the Star Wars chase, in like the Star Wars scene or whatever. I think they're wrong. Like, yes, that's where you see it here, and that's the only place you see it online. But it doesn't change the fact that Star Wars has been making less and less money per movie for a while, and their TV series have been having less and less viewers for a while. So like, there are people that support these vocal minorities, but that just don't show it. It's still a dumb decision though. Yeah, I don't think we should never be forcing creative products to be at the will of normal people.
The regular audience member who don't give a shit what you like or dislike. No, it's funny. I partly agree and disagree with what you're saying, in the sense that I'm of the strong opinion that it's a vocal minority commenting. I think you're totally right. All you have to do is look at the stats. I think some people forget this sometimes. If you go to a YouTube video, right, go to anything, any post, whatever, and you look at how many views it has and how many comments it has. And look, and literally it's usually 1% to 2% of people that view and comment. So if that's not a vocal minority, I don't know what is. But anyway, outside of that though, I do disagree just a little bit, in the sense that I feel like it's less a larger variety of people, more people who just don't say anything agreeing with this stuff, and more so it just sort of having an influence, in the sense that the vocal minority, even though other people don't feel this way, they're just sort of it's the sheep mentality, right? It's like the herd thing, where it's just like this 1% or 2% of people are going on about this, and then we see it, normal people see it, and might not necessarily feel that strongly about it or know anything about it or whatever, and we see that and we're just like, I'm don't really care to check that out anymore or whatever. Yeah, I can, as someone who's very conscious of that, I'm totally not impervious to it. Like if I, and I don't even use social media that much, but even if I see one little thing somewhere where it's like, oh, that got a bad review or whatever, it definitely, I try and fight against it, but it definitely like comes in right away. It's just like, oh, well, I'm now immediately less interested than I was 1 minute ago, So I feel like, I think its effect on views and on results for the studios is totally valid. I think from their point of view, in terms of wanting to, from a business point of view, getting their views up, getting their subs up, box office, all that kind of shit. I think it's a sound strategy, to be honest, because I think you can't underestimate its influence. But I do challenge the idea that most people, or not most, but that a larger audience agree with these philosophies than we think. You know what I mean? That's sort of just what I think.
The thing is, I think that these vocal minorities are getting amplified by people retweeting it saying, look at this vocal minority and how dumb he is. So like people aren't helping their cause, and I think that's why it's also like exacerbating the issue, because like even if it stays on one side, of this toxic kind of fandom, it then gets promoted to the positive side, where you're kind of leeching a few more people off each time. But when you kind of promote it to this like positive side, and they see it enough that it's that thing that you know about, like, yeah, but like I think the issue is that positive people are then promoting it by saying, look at how dumb this is. And then it's like a feedback loop almost.
Yeah, that's interesting. That almost sounds like, again, going back to just my stats point on people who comment and type shit online. Like that, that's always like another one. I mean, I don't know percentages, but like that's always like another vocal minority on top of a vocal minority. You know what I mean? Which then probably does create more influence. I think you're right about that.
But like the whole like, dude, this spells terrible outcomes for Star Wars, because like this points towards people like fucking Star Wars theory hopping in these fan groups. I mean, could you imagine if there's content there, man? I mean, like,
dude, it's so terrible.
Yeah,
that is genuinely very concerning. And Star Wars is, so there's, you know, the article brings up sort of the recent examples that this is most applied to, and we were talking before of like we thought Last Jedi was probably the catalyst for this, and the article agrees. And then basically the most recent examples are The Acolyte, of course, Rings of Power, The Boys.
You see, Rings of Power is another one that worries me, because although I still haven't progressed in it, apparently the second season has gotten a lot better. But with like these super fan groups, that opportunity wouldn't have been able to occur, because it would have been changed from the outset, or it would have been denied. So, like, you know, TV shows won't have the chance to grow, kind of, with these super fan groups.
Yeah, or they never would have had the chance to tell this, like, get to this season 2, because the story would have been different in the first place. You know what I mean? And then it just goes back to, that's the main thing, just stifling creatives. You know, and it's just, and you know, I don't, obviously the whole concept inherently is a super fan group, so it can only apply to established things. So, you know, I think it's not a good look for, particularly for me, for Star Wars. It's concerning for sure, and then it's only going to make, you know, original shows and films more of a refuge than they already are. You know what I mean?
Could you imagine a super fan group getting control of Last of Us season 2?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the article brings up the Last of Us example for the Bill episode.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because and that's the thing. It's like, even though that show was that's actually an interesting example, because even the show was beloved overall, it's like, does that one episode, surely the executives would overall, because that episode was review bombed. Which but oh my god. So what, we're now at the point where it's literally just like there's a gay character on the screen. Oh, that's it. It's woke, it's review bombed. Like, what? Is this where we're at now? How did we regress so far? This is actually utterly insane.
Because Rian Johnson ruined Star Wars.
How did The Last Jedi lead to a gay character being on screen, everyone revolting? Well, not everyone, but like, you know, these losers. Yeah. It's like, this is so weird, dude. I don't know. I feel like I'm losing sense of reality, Fitzy. But how do you feel about all this?
Yeah, it sounds pretty horrible, but I don't necessarily think like studios will listen to these people. I mean, not all data taken in like market research is like considered equal, I guess, in the end kind of analysis. So I think it probably won't have much effect, but it is a funny kind of, you know, it is a funny kind of phenomenon, I guess.
Yeah. That's probably true.
But we're being told it like the intent of building it is to have an effect, so that they can change products if it's early enough in its production.
Yeah, but I feel like a factor of that is just like, it's just kind of fear, you know. I don't necessarily think that we have like an insight into, you know, the studio creative decision making process just because they've said they're gonna consider these groups more, or like anything like that, especially if it's coming from like another source, you know. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm in the middle, because I definitely agree that I don't think this is I don't think they're just now just going to follow exactly everything they say. Like, there's a lot of different factors that they consider, and then there's still a decision that has to be made with the creative people. I get that. At the same time, though, like that was a direct quote I read earlier from that TV executive, like about how if the project's early enough, we can. Hey, let me get it up again. If the project's early enough, we can change it, and you know that's literally why they're doing it, so they have that option. You know, I just feel like that is concerning. That's a slippery slope right there. You know.
I think it's going to now fall on directors to have to be even more hard asses about the products they're creating and say no, or I walk, kind of thing. But then they don't want to walk away from Star Wars money, you know?
Yeah. It's not, and that's not a position you want to, I don't know, put more people in, really. This exact quote was from this executive. He said, if it's early enough and the movie isn't finished yet, we can make those kinds of changes. So obviously, all I'm saying is, like, you're definitely right, Fitzy. Like, they don't have to. It's not like saying that they will, or, you know, that they're going to value these metrics over other metrics or whatever. But it's just the fact that they're deliberately planning to give themselves the chance to do so, you know, and they're very open to doing so. It's just like, it's obviously going to be a huge case by case basis and who's making the calls. But basically, I guess for Star Wars, I'm just hoping Dave prevails. You know what I mean? Is that basically the core of what I'm saying for Star Wars? Because it sucks that Star Wars, for me in particular, it sucks that Star Wars is like causing all this, and the Acolytes seems to have been the biggest one that's caused the most change recently. Where, like, I don't know how you guys feel about this. I personally think that, like, the reason it didn't get a second season is 100% has directly related and has basically no other cause other than the toxic fandom space. I don't think the show was incredible or anything. I think it was the best thing I've ever seen. But I think if that exact same show came out and the toxic fandoms it wasn't treated the way it was, I think there was no doubt it would get a second season and it would be more watched.
If Mandalorian could get 3, then Acolyte should be able to get more than 1.
Oh yeah, no doubt. No doubt about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, like, we were all kind of positive on it, but I think it was, like, very widely kind of not ill received, but people were just kind of very meh on it. And, like, I think we already kind of talked about this, but
yeah,
you can attribute that to the toxic fandom thing if you want, but, like, I don't know, I feel like that's almost like a straw man, you know, that's almost like that's almost just like a bad argument, I guess.
But it's about viewership, though. You know what I mean? Like, the factor in terms of directly, I don't necessarily disagree in terms of, like, critical reception to it, but
critical reception was pretty positive anyway for Acolyte.
I don't think it wasn't. I don't think it was really.
I think it depends where you look. It's one of those. That's a bit tricky to gauge. But I'm just talking about purely in terms of the factor for it to get renewed is viewership, and viewership was strong in the first week because they touted that, and then it fell off a cliff. And I think that, in my opinion, the direct cause of that is the discourse. You know, I think even if it was a meh show or whatever, like an okay show or like anywhere in the range that people fell on it, I think people would have kept watching it. Or watching it more, at least more than they did, is all I'm saying. I think there's plenty of people that didn't give it a chance because of the discourse. Or just got put off by the discourse.
I think, maybe. I mean, I think it's just like Occam's razor. You know, I think the simplest argument is that people just like kind of lost interest. But like it's kind of impossible to gauge whether or not people lost interest because of the discourse, as you say. But like maybe it's a possibility, I guess. I just don't think it's like as likely as the fact that people like watched the first episode and weren't interested after that, I guess.
Yeah. No, I understand for sure. Anyway, switching gears really hard, we got a Juror number 2 trailer, which Fitzy watched. This is Clint's new movie. What was I don't know? Tell me about this movie. I don't know what's going on.
Well, the trailer kind of gave a lot away, so I don't know if I want to tell you much.
Okay.
Well, what do you know like about the movie? As it
absolutely
stands?
Nothing other than it sounds like it's a court thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, they'll probably like reveal what was revealed on the trailer like 5 minutes into the film, but I don't know. It's like a guilty conscience kind of film. Nicholas Hoult, he's you know, he's the main guy. He looks really great in it. It looks very Clint in the way it's just like, you know, dealing with like traditional kind of morality and stuff. So, and it looks great. It looks like the lighting and stuff looks pretty fantastic. So yeah, it's gonna be good.
Okay. Cool. I'm excited for a new Clint movie. Is it coming out this year? I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's like soon. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Check.
All right.
Yeah.
Might manage to slip into some top fives. Maybe we'll see.
Perhaps.
Hopefully. All right. Very good. We'll see if it's going to be actually Clint's last movie. Because wasn't his last movie meant to be his last movie? I don't know what he's.
It's one of those things where he's so old that he has to say it just in case he dies. No.
Right. Yeah. I mean, at this point, you have to sort of assume he's got no idea if it's going to be his last movie or not, right? Because if he wants to direct another movie, he'll probably direct another movie, but
like, I think I saw something about like how like someone's like, how is he able to do this at 96? And it's like they start work at 8 and they finish by midday with lunch, something like that, and like they just have it on like a full like old timer schedule.
Do they really?
I don't know. Like I saw that quote somewhere. I don't know how. Like,
I mean, that sounds like a joke, but I must say that like I'm sure the actors love that too. They're probably in. Right? Oh yeah, this sounds great.
Yeah,
he's 94.
I feel like this is his last movie. That's just my feeling.
It's hard to disagree when you're talking about a 94-year-old dude, for sure. For sure. Now it's time for our highlights of the week. Jaden, what have you been watching?
You know that show I've been talking about that I haven't seen, but I've seen clips of, and I think it's really unfunny every time I see a clip of it?
Oh, I know. Do you want me to, like, are you trying to hide the name of the show or something?
No, say it. I'm just curious if you knew.
Abbott Elementary?
Exactly. This week on Twitter, it was teased that there's going to be a crossover episode with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So I was like, okay, if these guys think it's funny, then maybe I give it a go. So I watched a season of it, and
yes,
I laughed one time. It was on episode 9. And in a 13-season episode show, I laughed one time of a hard comedy series. I laughed one time. It is painfully bad. It is like the worst comedy I've seen in a long time.
Oh,
it is just an amalgamation of things done better by every other comedy show before it. And like that's not necessarily a bad thing of like, you know, doing stuff that's been done before, but it's doing it badly. That's the issue. Like it's a mockumentary which offers no benefit to the show. Like there's nothing said in a talking head segment that could have been better delivered as a line of dialogue or shown in some other form, in some other way. The mockumentary is just like pointless in the show. The main character is a over eager go getter that, you know, Parks and Rec does better. It's in a mockumentary format, which Office and Parks and Rec does better. It's got this whole Philadelphia patriotism angle, which It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia does better. It's just everything in it is just so... It bewilders me that this is one of the most acclaimed comedy series of all time. How can... It's got an 8.2 on IMDb. Do you know how hard it is for a comedy product to achieve that, let alone a fucking comedy show? That is beyond me.
It's true.
That is fucking beyond me. In like, I don't understand how something like this can be so praised.
Well, it's because it's woke.
I mean, like, I don't know, dude. Like, it's just really unfunny. It is painfully unfunny.
Wow,
dude, I don't know. And like, I was looking at like season 2 goes to 22 episodes. So I'm like,
oh,
that can't be right, because then season 3 goes back down to 13. So I'm like, okay, so they must stumble somewhere within the 22. So that means that season 2 can't be a peak. So is season 3 the funny part that I'm meant to be watching? Well, I'm not going to fucking watch, 36 episodes of television to get season 3, so it might be good.
You have to. Like, we have to get the detailed analysis there. We have to get the detailed.
Dude, I don't know. The characters suck ass. They're just boring. There is one like Philadelphia tough chick character that is the most straightforward, cookie cutter, boring piece of shit you could think of ever writing, and somehow it was greenlit at every stage of writing, production, acting, and they've kept all her scenes in without cutting fucking, it seems like, anything that has to do with her. It is just the most straightforward show and the safest comedy you could ever see, and it takes from what's come before, and it takes it badly.
My lord. Okay. Well, are you going to check out the crossover?
I will check out the crossover, but like I'm not watching fucking season 2 and 3 of this shit.
No, it doesn't sound like it. Well, respect for, giving it a go. Putting your money where your mouth is, I guess. Well, yeah, no, you've talked a fair bit of trash about it, so yeah, that applies. Nice. You're justified now. I respect that. Nice. Are you going to watch this Mr. McMahon documentary? Either
I will. But you can talk about it. I don't really care about spoilers for fucking a wrestling documentary.
Oh, I don't really need to spoil it, but it's so funny. It's so funny talking about it in that lens, because the number one. So wrestling fans aren't big on this documentary because it offers nothing new, which is true, and for hardcore wrestling fans, that is, by the way. So if you know all this shit, like, because you're a dork like me, then yeah, it offers nothing new. And people also think it's too soft on Vince, which I disagree with personally. I thought this was really good, and I think the part of me that's a big documentary lover and a big just the fact I do this podcast with you guys, I'm a fan of shows and construction and editing and all that kind of shit, and the art of it, and I think that's what made me really enjoy it, along with it being a fantastic subject matter that I really love. And having some absolutely fantastic interviews in this series. So I was a big fan of this. People were just like, oh, I know all this already. It's like, yeah, because every documentary that's made, someone on Earth already knows everything that's in it. It's meant for a different audience, It's meant for people that want to learn about it. They're interested in it in some other capacity. I think you guys would really enjoy it. I really think you would. I think you'd find it fascinating. And it's just funny, like, even though I knew all this stuff, like, as they go chronologically, all these different events and stuff, it's like when this is all put together in a row like this is batshit insane, some of this stuff. Like, people dying and just the worst, all the trials, and oh my god, it's crazy. But so I think people, if you don't know a lot about this stuff, and you're curious at all about how wrestling works and basically the history of wrestling up until this point, and Vince being the most important person in the history of wrestling without a doubt, definitely check it out. Definitely recommend it.
So was Vince around for the Iron Claw?
Yeah. Because if you recall, in the Iron Claw, it was Kerry, right, who went to work for him and with the one leg?
Yeah.
And that was the time. That was around the time you'll see in the doc when, like, he was monopolizing the industry. He was buying out all the territories. So yeah, that's what he did. So yeah, it's very good. I think the interviews are. I can't overstate how good I think the interviews are. And so some of the stuff, the way they put, there's many times you'll see in the series where, like, Vince will say something and then they smash together 5 different people right after him completely contradicting what he said. And there are, and I just can't believe some of the things they got him to say in this. Even if you know all this stuff, I don't know how you can't appreciate some of the things they got him to say. It's a great way to frame it too. They opened the first episode with him basically saying, anything I'm about to tell you, I'm probably going to lie half the time. and so they frame the whole thing's framed through that lens, and that creates an interesting dynamic that then sort of it becomes obvious as you go. And then some of the other stuff they got him to say about referencing relating to a certain sexual misconduct allegation against him, and the main thing he says in response to it is, well, the statute of limitations ran out anyway, and shit like that. So anyway, he says some insane stuff in there, and the story is really great if you don't know anything about it. So I recommend it. I'd love you guys to watch it and bring it up on highlights, and we'll chat about it. No pressure, by the way. Fitzy, what did you watch?
I don't really have anything. I mean, I've kind of been dabbling in TV shows, but
yeah,
not really enough to talk.
You should watch Abbott's Elementary.
Oh yeah, that is a good like Philadelphia comedy series.
Nice. What's one thing you've been dabbling in?
Next week maybe.
Next week when you're not here.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh man, okay.
It's kind of it's embarrassing. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Is it?
What can be more embarrassing than your Survivor addiction?
Yeah, you were proud of that one.
Oh, that was ages ago. Though. I don't watch it anymore. You know, I've evolved as a person.
Now comes the segment where we hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week we asked you, who is the least useful inside-out emotion? Leanne said, envy is the least useful inside-out emotion. Apart from being pointless, it is a waste of time and energy. It's really hard to disagree with that.
But envy is cute.
She is cute in the movie. Yeah. But very hard to disagree with that. As portrayed in the movie, yeah. But overall, as an emotion, very hard to disagree with that. The only counter argument you can make to envy is it as a motivator. But that's also a dangerous tact. Like you would have to like be hyper disciplined at using your envy as fuel to only a certain extent.
Well,
I feel like
there's this quote from a philosopher where he says it's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour. You know, staying hungry, but within the drive.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's an excellent example of healthy use of envy, perhaps. But yeah, that's a good answer, Leanne. Dr. Luke said, now I've got to sift through like what's his real answer in the
I don't know, he has a bit of dialogue in there, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think Dr. Luke said, disgust protects me from watching films with IO, so it's useful to me. Sure. And then he comes back again and says the French one. Boredom. How do you even go about answering that in terms of if boredom's useless? Is boredom useful in any capacity? I feel like it's totally useless. I mean, I am the least bored person on earth, so I can't relate to it in any capacity.
Yeah. I mean, it is useless. Like, it's not that it's the worst of the emotions in the head, but it is just kind of useless. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't... Wait, what? Oh my God. What was I trying? Oh, I envy people who are bored. That makes sense, right? I said that the right way.
I think you said that before, that you're like not a bored person, but I don't really understand what that means. Like you're just never bored?
I haven't experienced boredom in probably 13 years.
Whoa.
Totally, I'm not an ounce of irony. Yeah, I can't relate to experience.
I think we need to unpack that after the show. Really.
Okay, I'm down. I can't relate to it at all. Oh yeah, okay. Well, that was Luke's thing. Yes. So I agree with you, Luke, on that one. Andy said, least useful inside-out emotion is envy. My family expects me to be envious about other people with jobs as a lawyer, doctor, or something. However, I can't say I care that much and don't wish to be anything like half of those fake crooks. Francis Ford Coppola's The Rainmaker influenced me a bit last month. Rather live like a humble person and embrace my limitations. Embrace your limitations. That sounds like another one of the emotions. That sounds like fear. I don't know. Oh, sorry. I don't mean to psychoanalyze my friends. Sorry, that's a bit.
No, that's what we're here for. That's the point of the question.
On a podcast might not be the appropriate avenue. But sure. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hard to argue against envy. So I put in the Discord, I was thinking about boredom, which I've already sort of touched on that accidentally. And then disgust. Disgust, how useful is disgust really? Because
as a core emotion, it's fucking dumb. You're telling me one of my main 5 things is fucking disgust. Like,
yeah.
Well, actually, look at me disgusted by that statement. So maybe.
Yeah, you're disgusting the button. No, I get that. For me, it's like, okay, as applied in the movie in that opening scene, you know, when like Riley put the wrong mouth guard in and disgust jumped in.
Mm.
Okay, so all right, disgust has use in terms of hygiene, health.
Yeah, well, disgust in the movies are more like judgment, though, just in general, you know.
Yeah.
So it's harder to like separate the actual emotion of disgust from what disgust is in Inside Out.
Mm.
But like,
true,
the disgust in real life isn't that useful. I mean, it's useful for food and hygiene and stuff. But,
it's probably only hygiene, because I feel like, I'm not even gonna lie, I feel like a lot of the things that like we find disgusting in quotes, and that we would react to as disgust are like social constructs anyway. You know what I mean?
You're talking about social constructs now.
So like when you were disgusted by that GIF on Discord, that's a social construct like coming in, you know.
Well, maybe not. Yeah, a great example. That one was like, that's probably more like goddamn. At some point, probably mostly not nature versus nurture. Nurture, throughout years of experience in my life, has taught me that image is disgusting. You know what I'm saying? In terms of over time, where we develop a sense of what is gross.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and that related to my understanding of that. I'm referring to, of course, Sam Smith dancing with his nipples out.
I would call that more of like a nature reaction because it's so like visceral, you know?
No, I think it's trained. I disagree with that. I think if you showed that to I always forget, there's that clan that's great for analogies.
Starts with the
Is that clan? Is that clan of island? No, Jesus. There's that like tribe of islanders who like live on that island somewhere, and they're like not advanced at all. Like
North Sentinel Island. Is it that one?
What did you call it? Sorry,
North Sentinel Island, I think it's called.
That might be it. I'll use them as an example. I think if you showed them the GIF, they would not find it gross at all. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because they wouldn't have concept of actually of.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right. I'm taught this. Yeah. I'm taught this over time.
So it is a social construct thing, as I was kind of originally saying, not nature.
Oh yeah. No, you're actually right about that. Sorry. Yes, you're correct. So in that sense, the argument is in that sense, disgust is useless because we're only trained to think it. We're only trained to apply it through social constructs, but it has no inherent value other than brushing your teeth, which is actually pretty healthy, believe it or not. That was my case. Jaden, what's the least useful emotion in Inside Out?
Yeah, envy, probably. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I think we're kind of showing them all having a purpose. Actually, no, boredom. Sorry. Yeah, right. Boredom is the most useless, but like the most needless, maybe. Envy. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, useless versus needless. Yeah.
Okay.
Boredom, ennui. I don't really need an androgynous French person in my head.
No, definitely not that. If boredom's that one, I like to think my boredom's not French. Well, I don't have boredom. Sorry, but, but the only case I can't believe I'm now about to make a case for boredom. But the only case you can make is that, like, take some time. Some people, everyone just needs to unwind sometimes. Like slow down, relax, bit of recovery, bit of rest and recovery, as they R&R as they call it, right? Maybe boredom is the emotion that allows that to come out at times when it's needed.
Yeah. But also there's like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen these YouTube videos where they're like, you should let yourself be bored and not like spend time on, your phone or something, or like, you shouldn't overstimulate yourself, because when you're bored, you come up with like good activities that you should be doing, or like you engage your imagination and your creative faculties and stuff.
Yes.
I delete Twitter from my phone, and then every few days I have to get it back because I'm bored when I'm not doom scrolling, and then I get rid of it because I'm doom scrolling.
Okay, so that's the opposite of what you should be. That's the opposite example.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I need to stick it out. Yeah.
That is true how it applies, definitely. Fitzy, do you agree? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's any other cases to be made, to be honest.
No, joy is like the most useless emotion because it doesn't get you anything except joy, and like what's the point of joy? No,
wow.
I don't know. Probably like maybe embarrassment, I guess. Although actually, nah. Embarrassment.
I feel like embarrassment is what keeps us like employed.
Yeah. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like I wouldn't be caught dead out with you, so like I need to keep that's just social suicide, it's like
right.
But like if we're counting nostalgia, I think that's that's got to be the most useless emotion.
That is true.
Because I think nostalgia decays the more you engage with it. Because like sometimes, I think when nostalgia hits you, it's like this momentary, like kind of euphoric thing. Like, you know, when you like zone out completely and you like think of some memory from the past, and it's just really kind of stimulating. Like, you have those moments, but then if you linger on them, it's like, you know, you don't have that same feeling. So nostalgia is like kind of a one-time thing. So probably nostalgia. But if I had to choose from the cast, I would actually agree with what you said earlier. I think envy can be useful and it can be kind of used. So I guess I'd say, well, I guess I'm saying boredom now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I like your case for nostalgia, though.
Yeah, no, I definitely think nostalgia. If you count it, that would be the most useful.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what? I think envy. Directly answering the question of useless. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if envy's not the most useless, but it's the most dangerous. Like, if you're not careful with it, I think it can be real bad news. But
yeah,
I think it can be useful potentially.
But like also talking, like it's funny, like talking about use in the sense of emotions is kind of weird as well, because like as I kind of half jokingly said with joy, it's like, what is joy useful for? Like, joy is useful for itself, right? So yes. Like, what is the ends that we're talking about anyway? The ends are emotions, you know.
That's true.
So it's like, I don't know.
Well, that's funny. Well, it's like, wait, who was it Plato? Who was eudaimonia, right?
Oh,
was that
no, I don't think
was
so.
Aristotle?
I believe it was Johnson that said.
It's probably Aristotle.
Aristotle. That sounds like it could be right. It is funny though, like, but yeah, like makes the argument that, you know, happiness is the end. So in that way, it's almost like happiness is itself joy, is itself an emotion amongst the other emotions, even though the other emotions only also serve to get to. It's like somehow it fits in the category of being amongst the other emotions while also being the ends of the emotions. It's kind of weird. It's kind of like sounds like it doesn't categorize correctly, but it kind of does somehow. But now we're just talking about what the purpose of life is, so we should be probably wrap this shit up, I guess. It's probably a good sign. Okay. As always, we'd love you to submit your responses, thoughts, and or reviews for next week's film in the YouTube or Instagram comment section, or join the Discord server this week. The specific question we'll be asking you is, oh man, what is the best exploration of mental illness in cinema? Let us know. Donnie Darko is banned.
Banned?
Okay. Yep, banned. Trash movie.
I mean, the answer is American Mary anyway, so we may as well just not ask the question.
Oh yeah, dude. Dealt with trauma real well, that one. My trauma. We got a poll before we go. We have Instagram poll nominees. It's me. It's Jaden nominating a film each, going head to head. And the audience must vote to decide which film we'll be reviewing in a fortnight's time. So, Jaden, do you want to go first?
No.
Do you care? You want me to go first?
Yeah, I want you to go first.
Is this so you have a bailout?
No, I don't have a bailout. I'm just scared to go first.
All right. I'm so excited to be doing this. My poll announcement, and shout out to Andy, of course, is The Departed.
Another boring one.
I just want this on the record that is going to be the response every single time I nominate until I lose. Thank you very much.
Mine's probably not too much better as a choice anyway. It's Amélie, the 2001 French movie with Audrey Tautou.
You want us to do two French things in a row, man?
Two French things? What do you mean?
Oh, well, sorry, I just can't joke it because it's got that stupid title.
It's the yankiest movie you can fucking create.
I know, sorry, yeah. I know, but then in a minute I'm going to have to say the name of it.
Amelie, it's a fucking name, man.
No, the Joker. But yeah, Amelie. Gotcha. Yeah, French. Yeah. Another French movie that's actually. I mean, French movies do have it in the bag this year in the polls so far.
Do they? Eden. And what else?
That's it. But it's 1 for 1. So
Yeah.
Your record's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Those are your choices there: The Departed or Amelie. So head to our Instagram page, check out our stories within 24 hours or so after this episode goes live, and cast your vote. Let us know what you want us to watch. Is there any chance Andy votes for The Departed?
Maybe because he thinks it'll be funny. Yeah.
I feel like he'd want it like in Law, like that we reviewed it. I feel like he'd want the chance to write in about it and say his piece.
Yeah. For the 20th time.
Andy, if you vote for Amelie, I'll nominate The Departed for the next poll, so we can do it on the next poll.
Oh, what?
Nah, that's vetoed. No.
Yeah, vetoed for sure.
All right.
That's like some form of fraud or treason or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, we don't have any established rules, so cry about it.
Yeah, all right, whatever. All right, that's it for this week's episode of Cinema Effect. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Fitzy, what are we doing next week?
We're doing Joker, Folie, Deux.
Oh, thank God, yeah. Oh,
thank God you can say that's just a guess, but yeah, it's in cinemas. It's the sequel to Joker, and it's Joker. It was Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga.
2019's best movie.
Brendan Gleeson. So
the most undeserved best performance winner.
Oh.
Sorry, just getting out of early.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, so that's exciting.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it kind of it'll probably serve as like a mini review of the first one, because as Jaden is kind of hinting at, he'll probably talk about that for half the episode. So.
Yeah, probably.
Well, yeah, because you're going to skip out, so we're going to need to fill time. So.
Is this for real, or is this determined yet, or are you just making fun of him? Or is it undecided?
Well, he said he's got projects next week, so I mean, do you really trust him to go watch it himself? I don't know.
I love that you think you have to drag me to Geelong for me to watch the film. I mean, it's probably accurate.
Well, that's going to make it easier.
Well, if you didn't watch Romulus, I can't imagine you watching Joker. It's
going to be one of the most talked about films of the year.
No, it's already struggling to sell at theaters. It's it's like people in the pre-book session things. People buying 3 seats, man.
Wow, that's brutal. So it's not going to make a bill like the last one?
Doesn't look like it.
Damn.
Unless the Chinese market comes in and cleans up.
Yeah, true. The Chinese market love mental illness, for sure. All right. I think that's really it this time. I appreciate Liam and Jana for joining me as always. Have a great rest of your week, and goodbye.